So we made a spontaneous trip to Mexico. Yeah, it was kind of unplanned, but my husband had been in Mexico getting surgery done. And before anybody gets in the comments being like, oh, went to Mexico for medical tourism. Yes, we live in Canada, which I think has one of the best medical systems in the world. No, I have not experienced every medical system in the world, but I've lived in the US, I've lived in Canada, I've experienced both medical systems. Canada's is far superior. There are still going to be wait times for non-life-threatening things. But it was to the point where he didn't want to wait anymore, and we opted to do a private surgery, and it was cheaper to go to Mexico to do it. Anyway, so got a phone call on, what was it, Wednesday morning? Thursday morning? I don't know. You're out of it because you had surgery. I think it was Thursday morning. And he's calling me and he's like, I'm trying to get my prescriptions after the surgery and my card's not working. And I can't get through to my bank to call them. I tried to call his bank. I couldn't get through to them either. Turns out there is a like cyber attack or something that has shut down like a bunch of the phones and banking for like a third of Canada. So that was cool. Anyways, so I went down to Tijuana to give my husband some money so he could get his prescriptions. I was just across the border in San Diego, but we took an impromptu trip, and here's where we went. So today we're going to Tijuana. There is a parking lot right at the border, the last exit in the US. So we've parked there, and now we're waiting for a shuttle to take us across the border to downtown Tijuana.
First time, and that's the first time I've ever told anyone.
Being in Tijuana was not, I don't know, I don't think it was much of a challenge at all. We drove down to San Isidro, California, parked at 24-hour border parking, is the name of the lot, and then took a shuttle bus into downtown Tijuana. And then it's advertised that the driver speaks English. He doesn't. But I took years and years and years and years of Spanish in school, so we were able to communicate well enough to negotiate price and to get to where we needed to go in downtown Tijuana, and then for him to get us a taxi arranged to where we needed to go to get to where my husband was. So I wouldn't say that I'm conversationally fluent in Spanish. I can understand what people are saying to me, and I can understand what I read, but forming a coherent sentence in a conversation quickly enough to have a coherent conversation is a struggle for me, which I struggled with like during the oral exams in school. I have a trouble with that even in English though. Like I rehearse conversations in my head for days in advance.
Don't worry. She's good at oral now.
You're gonna get this video flagged. Anyway, so we were able to communicate well enough. People spoke enough English and I speak enough Spanish that it wasn't that big of a deal. You know, mi esposa está aquí. Here's the map. So that being said, there are some things that I noticed about Tijuana. Everybody, I would say more so than expects a tip. Like, a tip is almost demanded. So the shuttle that drove us there, we were told it was going to be $7 a person, which, you know, no big deal. And then at the end, after we gotten across the border, we got back on the bus to get driven to downtown Tijuana. And at that point, I guess he'd been in a hurry because we hadn't paid him yet, but, you know, we were supposed to give cash to the driver. And so I'm giving him the cash as we're getting back on the bus. And then he's like, tip, tip, tip. And I'm just like smiling at him, because I was going to give him the tip on my way off the bus. And so then at the end of the ride, as we're getting to the destination that we'd arranged for, he's asking, ¿Cómo se dice me gusta. Like, how do you say I like? Like, basically, he's asking me how would you ask if you liked the ride? Because he's pestering me about giving him a tip. He's wanting to know, did you enjoy the ride? And did you enjoy it enough to give me a tip? I did give him a tip, but like, I was waiting till the end, because if you're taking me to somewhere random and getting my organs harvested, I'm not giving you a tip. You know, not saying that he would, but I wait till the end to tip. But just be prepared. People will pester you if you don't tip. I don't know if it's just because we were, you know, very obviously foreign and obviously had money if we could travel between countries, but...
She talks with her hands. So off camera, all you see is this. Just saying.
My mom was worried about the water situation there, and even the instructions for my husband going in talked about the water. They had bottled water for him, so he didn't need to bring water. My son and I are both up to date on our hepatitis shots, so we weren't concerned. We enjoyed some lemonade with ice in it, not an issue. My mom, however, is not up to date on hers, so she didn't get to have any of that nice, tasty, fresh lemonade. Bummer for her, because it was super good. Going across the border on the way there from San Isidro, we took the shuttle, but on the way back, we walked across the border, which turns out it was a really good choice, because, yeah, it took maybe 45 minutes through the line and getting across the border, and then getting back to the parking lot where we'd parked. But it took hours for my husband, who was getting driven across from a driver, to get through.
With a medical van. So we had priority.
So yeah, we walked across. It took 45 minutes from... And it was quite a long line. I would say there were thousands of people in it. It was moving quite slowly, but 45 minutes tops. They are not super efficient, but it's the world's busiest border crossing. They've got lots of border guards there. The Mexico side is more militarized, and yes, there is the wall there. So yeah, it is there. But the Mexico side is more militarized. The U.S. side is just a typical border crossing. I don't know. I've crossed the border so many times, I don't even know. And on land crossings, we've driven across, I don't know, hundreds of times going between Canada and the U.S. But this is my first time going to Mexico ever. And so going into Mexico is a bit different. Coming back across into the U.S. is just like going into the U.S. from Canada. Except I did see one guy get dragged off back into Mexico by border guards. So that was a new experience as well. Overall, Mexico was, well, it's Tijuana. So I would say the stereotypes about Tijuana hold true. I did really enjoy the little vendor carts that they have lined up all along the streets. They were just everything I expected and more. They have them all lined up all down the walkway to the border. We were able to get all kinds of cool treats. They've got churros. There were the lemonade guys. There's a guy going chicle, which my son was just like, it's gum. All kinds of little shops. If there's any like snacks or drinks or anything you need, it's good. So you're gonna be fine, even if you're standing in line for hours. You won't be needing to worry. As for money, pretty much everybody is gonna accept US dollars. You don't necessarily have to get pesos, and most of them will have their prices listed in dollars as well as pesos. So if you do go to Tijuana, hope you enjoy it. Stay safe with your hepatitis vaccines and have fun. Oh, and we had street tacos for dinner, which so freaking yum. I was not brave enough to try the cabeza. I got chorizo. My son had I think he had asada and my mom had pork. Yeah, but they were so good. So good.
Taco.
Is that calamansi? What is that? That little lime that you got.
What is
That was our trip to Mexico. And the next day we went back to Legoland to use our second day of our 2-day pass, which my son has been saying every day is the best day ever. I'm pretty sure our second day at Lego was the real best day ever.